The Mental Handbook is my highest rated book on Amazon. You can get this book completely for free. Just take care of the shipping at workonyourgameuniversity.com. The link is below. If you already got it, get it for a friend. They need it. Work on your game.
DreAllDay.com.
What's going on, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. This week's motivation, we're talking about respecting the process. And to illustrate this point, I'm going to tell you a quick story about this guy named Nick Saban. He's the coach at Alabama football team. Most of you know who he is. Before Nick Saban was coaching Alabama, he had coached in the NFL for a little bit. And he coached the University of Michigan State University football team. One year, they were about to go play Ohio State in a big game. Ohio State at the time was #1 ranked in the country. Michigan State was a solid big-time football program, but they weren't ranked as high as Ohio State. And they're about to go play Ohio State in this big game where all the Michigan State fans, despite the fact that Ohio State was ranked #1, still expected Michigan State to at least put up a valiant effort and maybe possibly beat this team. But leading up to the game, in practice that week, Nick Saban noticed that his players were a little bit jittery. They're a little bit nervous because they know that everybody else knows that this is the big game. They know that they're playing the best team in the nation, who, if Ohio State is to beat them, they're on their way to winning the national championship. And Nick Saban wanted to calm his team down. He wanted to give his team a real chance to win the game, and he wanted to calm his team down at the same time to make it work out. So this is what Nick Saban did. He spoke to his team a few days before the game, and he said, "This is what I want you all to do. I want you all to forget about beating Ohio State in the game on Saturday. Don't try to beat Ohio State in the game. All I want you to do is go out in the game on Saturday, and each one of you, every moment that you get on the field, every snap that you play in, all you need to do is perform your job to the best of your ability at each position every single play that you're in the game. So if you only play one snap all game, just play that one snap as best you possibly can. If you're the quarterback and you play the whole game, play each snap, not the whole game, just each snap as best as you possibly can. If you're an offensive lineman, block the guy in front of you as best as you can on every individual play. If you just do your best on every individual play, every single player on this team, offense, defense, special teams, even the coaches, even the guys on the bench who don't get in, if everybody does their job to the best of their ability, every play throughout this entire game, we don't have anything to be disappointed about. We don't have anything to be ashamed of, and everything's going to happen the way it needs to happen. And guess what happened in that game? Michigan State went out and beat Ohio State, upset the #1 team in the nation. What does all that have to do with you? Is that when we have goals, especially those of you who are very ambitious, you're a high achiever, or you want to be a high achiever, you have really big goals. Your goal is so far away from where you are right now, sometimes you may even get discouraged. Like, how am I ever going to get to this goal? How am I ever going to solve this problem right here? How am I ever going to get over this hump that I see in front of me, or this hump, or the hump that's so far away from me that I can't even see it yet? How am I going to do all these things? You don't need to do all those things. The only things you need to do right now, once you're clear on what your goal is, once you're clear on where it is you want to go, all you need to do every day, every customer you deal with, every shot you take in the basketball game, whether you make it or miss it, every time you show up to practice, every drill that you have to go through, every phone call that you got to make, every email that you read and send back out, every single instance that you do, everything that you do, all you have to commit yourself to is doing it as best as you possibly can. If you commit to doing things as best as you possibly can every single time, this is the process, the results are going to take care of themselves. And this is the thing, you don't have to think about, okay, if I do everything the way I'm supposed to, I'm going to win. You don't have to even think about that you're going to win. Understand, if you notice from that story I told you about Michigan State, the coach didn't say, if we do everything right, we're going to win. He said, we're just going to do everything the way we need to do it, and we're not going to worry about the outcome of the game. And they won anyway because they were focused on the process. So what I'm talking to you about in this week's motivation is you got to get focused on the process. If you focus on doing your job as best you can every moment, every day, every drill, every customer, every phone call, every fill in the blank, whatever it is you do, and whatever it is you're doing going after your goal, the results will take care of themselves, but you're not doing it because you're thinking about the results. All you're thinking about is doing your job as best you possibly can. That is the process. The reason why many people don't reach their goals, no matter if they're big goals or small goals, is that they don't commit to the process. They're thinking too much about the outcome. They're trying to control the outcome. You can't always control an outcome. When you play a sport, When you play a sport, you can't control what the other team does. When you're in business, you can't control what the customer does. When you're the customer, you can't control what the salesperson does. You can't always control the outcome. But if you follow the process and do as best you can consistently over and over and over again, in the end, you will get the result without even thinking about it. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. Ever wonder what it would be like if you could be more confident on a more consistent basis? What about if you could just brush off the negativity of other people more easily so they didn't stumble you and slow you down? What if you could be more of a leader so that people fell under your influence and followed your direction and your communication? What if you could have more focus on the positive things that you want instead of looking at the negativity and letting that slow you down and put fear in your heart? And what if you could do all of this, tie it all in and make it part of your normal day-to-day life for the rest of your life? Would there be any benefit to that? I think so, and I know you do too. Well, guess what? My new course is called Bulletproof Mindset, and it covers everything I just said and a whole lot more. It's an 8-week course. You can get all the details and get started right now at DreAllDay.com/bulletproof. Check it out, and I'll see you over there. Work on your game. If you're on Snapchat, hit me on the Snap. My Snap name is @Dre Baldwin. You already know how that works. And I got a podcast, if you didn't know. It is called Work on Your Game. It is an everyday podcast where I talk about getting yourself into the right mindset, that bulletproof mindset. Getting yourself seen, heard, known, getting the exposure you want, and making things happen in your life instead of waiting for things to happen to or for you. Subscribe to that podcast when you're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Make sure you check it every single day. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch the heat. Work on your game. Dre Ball, Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball, Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I'm ballin'. I feel like Dre